We are the people. We are one with all life. All life is sacred. We are strong. We have the strength that comes with all life. We are love. We know that there is no force in the universe as powerful as love. We know that all love is love. There are no limits. There are no rules. There is only love. From unity comes the strength that allows us to use the power of love to celebrate all life. We are the people. Join us in this celebration of love that makes life beautiful. Yate! The sacred journey starts here. Welcome to Navajo Pride.
Hello. On behalf of the Board of Directors, Navajo Pride would like to thank each and every one of you for joining us. Again, we reunite and gather for another amazing year to celebrate loud and proud our Indigenous LGBTQ two-spirit identities and existence, along with a lot of our hard work and amazing accomplishments that we've achieved this year. But before we begin, allow me to introduce myself. Dagote, hello, my name's Leslie Nash. Most of you probably know me as Leslie Lewinsky. Hello, everybody. I am half Apache and half Cheyenne and Arapaho. I am a drag entertainer and a digital creator. I am speaking to you today from the traditional lands of the Apache people in San Carlos, Arizona. It is here where I reside with my partner of 11 years, Bo Goody, who is also an entertainer, classically trained in singing, and is amazingly talented in his own rights. Together, we utilize our talents and platforms to inspire and advocate for Indigenous individuals all over Turtle Island. So, speaking of amazing achievements to celebrate this past year, a lot of our Indigenous drag entertainers and influencers have snatched some titles. First, we have Anya Seaman, who was crowned Miss Gay Copper City America 2021-2022. We also have our former entertainment director, Tomahawk Martini, who was recently crowned the Miss New Mexico Pride 2021-2022. Also, Apache's very own Tay D. Mornay was crowned the very first Mix Phoenix Pride 2022-2023. How amazing is this? Each of these girls claiming a title, bringing it back to our lands, and reclaiming our lands one title at a time. Congratulations, girls. We are very proud of you. Continue to inspire the youth to be their authentic and unapologetic selves. Congratulations, girls. This evening, we give you a very diverse panel of influencers and activists from the LGBTQ Two-Spirit Plus community. Tonight, joining us will be comedian, TikTok star, Auntie Mayaje, who is also tonight's mediator. From Utah, we have activist and journalist Alistar Beatsoy. Also gracing us tonight is Mr. Montana Two-Spirit Silas Hoffer. All the way from Los Angeles, California is Two-Spirit activist and trans individual Yua Bigay. The amazing writer, producer, and director Kaiman Greyhorse, who is Hawaiian, and Danae. We also will have remarks from Eugenia Charles Newton, who serves on the Navajo Nation Council. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go to the Navajo Nation Pride Facebook page or go to navajonationpride.com to see the listing of our scheduled online and in-person events the rest of this week. Thank you and have a good night, everybody.
Yate Bene. Good morning and welcome to Window Rock, the capital of the Navajo Nation. And we are gathered here to celebrate and recognize the Indigenous LGBTQIA community, not only that live on our land, but all across the United States on Turtle Island. She'eya already Nelson yen she topahan shlonki ani e bush chindol, tsenjikini e dash che touchini e dashanale, and le bish bitode e nasha kut all denen shle. My name is Alray Nelson. I'm one of the founders and the executive director for Diné Pride, which is the largest Indigenous Pride celebration in the whole country, and we're really proud of that. We were founded in 2007, since grown over the last 4 years to be the largest in the whole country. And on that note, the Navajo Nation continues to take lead in Indian country on several different issues. And I believe, and the community believes, that the Navajo Nation needs to lead again in regards to the ideas of the future for the LGBTQ community. When I'm speaking to you all now this morning, we're gathered here in front of the People's House with our Honorable Speaker of the Navajo Nation Council, Seth Damon, with Council Delegate Charlene So, Council Delegate Carl Slater, and so many others that cannot be right here right now because of the pandemic and the new times that our people are sharing with. And so all of you that are at home, that are watching all around the world, on behalf of the Navajo people, welcome to our nation. And when I think about those that are watching right now and that will see this video, I like to reach out to our young people that identify as LGBTQ, especially our trans young people. It's an imperative mission for us to stand up behind you and let you know that since time immemorial, to identify as Indigenous, to identify as LGBTQ meant that you had sacred roles in our society. Since time immemorial, our people have seen and recognized our roles. We're caretakers, we're your relatives, we're your warriors, we're the ones in the household raising children. And so those are the roles that have always been with us for a long time for our people. And so that our young people know that you are sacred. Continue to be proud who you are. And now I'm going to pass the microphone over now to our council delegates who will share more about the vision they see for our nation when we look at our relationship with our LGBTQIA relatives. So Council Delegate Slater.
Yat thank you, Alray. Yat shikedo shidne adone nishlinagi kiani na she sontene bashichin tsino jini dashiche sontene dashana tsenik anet na sha she Carl Russell Slater dashijine. My name is Carl Russell Slater. I'm Kiani, born for the Jewish people, and I'm the council delegate who represents Round Rock, Rough Rock, Rock Point, Lukachukai, and Saley Wheatfields. And I'm here today to stand in step with Diné Pride, the speaker, council delegate Charlene So, Alray, in proclaiming this week as Diné Pride Week. It's critical that we support our citizens in this time of worry and uncertainty and rely on our traditional values to guide us through this pandemic. And to that end, I want to emphasize that your leadership, and I'm speaking directly to our young people right now, I'm thinking about our young LGBTQIA individuals, maybe those who are questioning, those who are at home in isolation, they're not near their friends, they're not near their support networks. Recognize that you have a place in Navajo society that has been there since our stories. Since way before anyone that you know who is alive, their tradition, our tradition, what has been passed down to you is encompassing of you, has a place for you, and also sets obligations for you. And you'll discover what those obligations are within your community, your context, your family. But us as Diné people, everyone has a clan. And if you have a clan, you are a part of the tribe. You are related. You are blessed by the holy people. And you should never forget that. Whether it's a pandemic or you're in a classroom and you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed and like there isn't hope and people don't understand you and they don't care about you. I have a Facebook page. I welcome you to reach out to me on there. You can always DM me in this time of isolation or uncertainty if you need someone to talk to. We are seeing so much upheaval and unrest across the United States. And what powers us and can power this movement to respect and clarify the rights of everyone in Navajo society is solidarity. And so you're not isolated from the world. There are people who are protesting in cities thousands or hundreds of miles away from you who care about you, care about your rights, and they care about the prosperity of your life. And we need to recognize that we have obligations to those folks as well. So just as Native lives matter, Black lives matter, trans lives matter, that only exists if we stand up for each other. So much of the work here by Alray and by Diné Pride is to build that solidarity, that consciousness raising, and to expand the reach and recognize that our presence has been here forever. The Navajo people in the Four Sacred Mountains We have something to contribute to these movements, and they have something to contribute to us. So I give you my love, and I ask that you see hope through these turbulent times, through this proclamation, and hopefully through some positive legislative news that might occur later this week regarding clarifying those rights of our Navajo LGBTQIA individuals who work on the reservation either for the government or outside the government, and who want to express their love publicly either through marriage or some sort of union with those whom they love. So thank you, Alray. Thank you, Speaker Damon, for your really strong leadership. It means so much to me to see a young leader who represents the values that I was raised with, and I think many people here were raised with. And I don't want to speak on behalf of Delegate So, but I think that as a young person, we need to bring the conversations, the topics, the experiences that we're more intimately familiar with and raise them within the People's House, like Alray said. So thank you, Yahet, and I really look forward to this positive proclamation signing.
Oh, yeah, Alray, Adult Speaker Damon. Yeah, ben a hit the Schneiderlet. Shije Charlene so, I don't late with the content nasha. Nanest not that the nan slump, but Atni Basha Sheen, cut sheetney dash a shake, the cheatney dash a nulla. Good eye, son and shla. Okay. I want to say good morning to each and every one of you, the viewers out there. Thank you for being with us today via live stream. You know, as much as this is a joyous event, I really wish that we can go back to a year before this where we can celebrate and greet one another and be here and just the way that it was last year. So, but what I do want to start off with is, you know, this not only being a celebration, this is also a time of reflection of how far we've come, how far leadership has come, and also a reflection of those individuals that we have lost due to suicide because of unacceptance and to the bullying, to the criticism. And this is a time where we can come together as Dine and accept and love and respect one another again. So the Zambik eho I don't need quite ashino yaho aigi teachings. Ebenelniko we can move forward as a nation. And I still have strong belief and faith that we will all come together as the Net people, the Neni Glenigi, to fall back on our teachings and religion and arts of the Zen, so that we can come together as a Navajo Nation and prosper and move forward. Coming into this, being a delegate, I stood firm with what I believed. The LGBTQIA is something that I will continue to support, whether leadership extends for me in the political world or even in other respects of careers. So, but you know, this is the time where we can reach out and help one another and be there for one another. There is no reason for exclusion of love and respect. Adot, you know, going back, I've always been there for my young constituents who have already spoken to me and said, I'm scared to make the relation to my family. And I tell them foremost, you are Navajo, you're human. And every one of us are holy beings. And that, based on the teachings of my grandmother, being a holy being and being created the way that we were born to respect one another. And moving forward, I really like to thank Shajas Speaker Seth Damon as well, and Adot Honorable Carl Slater, as well as with Alray. You know, this has been a long time due coming, and we've been trying to work hard and teach our older individuals that this is a new era. This is an era of respect that we want to approach, that we want to succeed in. And moving forward, I really hope that our young individuals, LGBTQIA, know that there is a place here in Window Rock. You have people that will be your voice, that will be your protector as well. and that will always consider your rights and make sure that you get the love and respect that you deserve. And coming from a long lineage, I've been raised by my grandmother and my mother, and the teachings that come back to the beginning and the creation of time, that the individual was created to keep the balance in the world, to keep harmony. We will learn to respect one another and gain that respect for each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Charlene So, Honorable Carl Slater, Mr. Alray Nelson, and everyone who's here, not only present here today, but good morning, Yate to the entire Navajo Nation, to the entire United States, wherever you're logging in on, whether you're sitting down at home or if you're here in Window Rock in an office. I just want to first of all say thank you to everyone who has helped put today together and who's helped worked with Mr. Elray Nelson in putting this week together. As you know, through the expressions of what has been going on in the past couple of years and the past 30 years in order to fight for individuals' rights, to express the needs and the movements of what has been going on. I want to first of all thank everyone who has helped to make today become a reality. Most importantly, to one who has passed and incarnated in the past, has not been able to see this day become a reality. My name is Seth Damon. I'm the speaker of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, and I just want to again thank everyone for logging in wherever you're from. Today is a day that brings light to hope in every portion of our four sacred mountains. Whether you're a student that's in Loop, Arizona, or an individual that's just graduated from Window Rock High School, whether you're an individual that's going through middle school right now in Page, Arizona, and you're having a hard time at Chief Manuelito and Gallup Middle School, trying to understand who you are in the service of this unpleasant world that we live in right now. These entities like today, these little bends and arcs in history that we come to portray has helped to move generations of hope. Our lives here and our time as leaders are very limited. And in doing these things, we bring leadership to the role to change policies and procedures, to change everybody's little bit of hope that they have a better tomorrow. And in this day, we're looking out for our people, our family, friends, our relatives, and everyone who supports the LGBTQ community. We started this journey down this path through the Speaker's office a year ago. And as Honorable Charlene so indicated, that presence was an enormous celebration. That was the very first time you seen the flag of the LGBT community flying high in front of the Navajo Nation Council chambers. A year has come and gone. This is the second time this has happened in this history. We did this as a part and reason to make sure that we didn't forget anyone. And as Elroy stated earlier, a year ago I spoke before this chamber and I indicated that this is not just the Navajo people's house. This isn't just our children's homes. This isn't just for individuals who are trying to fight for ourselves, for what we consider as an obligation, and more importantly, as an opportunity to segregate in people. As Honorable Slater stated today, as long as you're Navajo, you know who you are, you have a clan, even if you don't speak Navajo. Anyone told Congress in the late 1960s that if you're a Navajo, you know who your clan is, and you always wear a little bit of turquoise. So I tell everyone out there, if you're struggling, please look out to somebody. If you're looking for a new light and you're garnering that entity, make sure to look out for others too as well. In 1996, then President Bill Clinton signed a legislation and it was passed by Congress. It was the Defense of Marriage Act. For 26 years, that legislation was held up to the highest regards until 2013 when it was struck down by the United States Supreme Court. During that time frame, in 2005, the Navajo Nation Council and then President Joe Shirley signed the Navajo Nation Defense of Marriage Act. In my leadership, in my time, I've honestly promised to come back and look at that legislation. It's time for us to open up an opportunity to have further discussions and making sure that every single person on the nation has an opportunity with their partner, with their significant other, to have a home site lease and due respect and have ceremonies blessed and welcome to them. Individuals might not like the constitutional and conformation of what I have just said, but it's time and changes that we look for, and it's our time and leadership and change that we look out for our next 7 generations. And in that continuity, today's a day that will start embarking that relationship and those discussions and that topic to moving forward down the path that we all need to know. That doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't no matter if you're a Navajo who comes from NAC Church or traditional or Christian. Just know the Navajo Nation Council, the 24th Navajo Nation Council, is here to help make progress change. And in that today, we are going to sign what is something that has never happened before. But more importantly, looking to change in values, change in industry, but making sure that we're changing the productive talks across this nation. This is a stepping stone, and all other tribes look up to the Navajo Nation. And this is something that we're going to lead the way again to as well. So again, I thank everyone for logging in today, listening in today. I thank my colleagues, the 24th Navajo Nation Council. I thank Honorable Charlene So, Honorable Slater. And I want to thank especially Mr. Elroy Nelson for your dedication and your leadership over the years to step up and embark and charge these issues and making sure that everyone is eligible and equal at the table. So again, thank you everyone for being a part of this discussion. Look forward to all the different events that I'll be having throughout the week, and make sure to log in and stay proud and stay believing in who you are. A cat.
Thank you so much to the Honorable Speaker Seth Damon of the Navajo Nation Council, Diné Pride, and our Board of Directors are honored to announce tonight that he is the recipient of the first ever Diné Pride Legacy Award, and he will be officially and physically in person to sign the Diné Pride Week Proclamation for 2022 this coming Friday evening, right before the start of our Sovereign British Drag Show in front of the council chambers. So now I'd like to just bring in another voice in this conversation as we start off this loud and proud LGBTQ Indigenous Roundtable. And you all know her. She's TikTok famous. You always see her out there making people smile and laugh. She's a strong, resilient matriarch. I'd like to say hello and welcome my sister here, Auntie Mayaja, Nasheen. Hey, Nasheen.
Yat nice to see you.
Good to see you, sister. I'll hand it off to you.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am so happy to be here and honored to share this space with my LGBTQ plus two-spirit relatives. I'll just introduce myself. My name is Nasheen Sleuth. Most of you know me, or some of you know me as Forward Light on TikTok, and AKA Auntie Mayaja. If you haven't, then go to TikTok and see. I wanted to introduce all of these amazing people who will be a part of this conversation tonight. But before I do that, I want to share my clans with you all. Haltsoe Nishle Kachini Bashishtin Kachini Bashishtin Kia Ani Dashiche Ashihan Dashanella Di et al Astant and Nishle. I am an ally and comrade of the LGBTQ plus Two Spirit community, and my pronouns are she and her. And we're going to kick this night off tonight and introduce some amazing leaders, activists, social media influencers tonight in this discussion.
Can I go ahead and start?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Yacht Esh Akim and Grey Horse Yanishia, Ashihanishlet, do Tongan Bushes Chin, Sitna Janita Shache, do Tongan Dashnelle. Hi everyone, my name is Keeman Greyhorse. I am a Navajo, Tongan, and Two-Spirit filmmaker, screenwriter, cinematographer, and editor, and I am very happy to be here.
Welcome.
Aklien, hello. My name is Kara Roselle Smith, also known as Willow. I am Chappaquiddick Wampanoag, also Two-Spirit. I'm just really grateful to share space with everyone this evening. I do a lot of work with tribal reclamation, with reparations, and do a lot of social media work as well with TikTok and Instagram, also for my tribe page.
Thank you. Oh, you're on mute.
It happens every time. Yeah, it's didn't it though. Excuse me. Shik a. You begin share na kaiden and shle. Ki ani bachin the betlision dashledo trabahan dashanale. Akut egot aden and shle. Akut egot an natla and shnetlo. Aro Tovangar de Gehest in the Twineje de Nasha. So hello everyone, my name is Yue Begay. I'm of the Nomadic People clan, born for the Towering House clan. My maternal grandmother's clan is of the Black Sheep clan, and my paternal grandfather's clan is of the Water's Edge clan. So in this way, I identify as a Navajo transgender woman. I'm originally from Kayenta, Arizona, but currently living on Tongva people land in Los Angeles. So great to be here and nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Buju, can you see me? My camera seems to be doing something funky where I'm not showing up even though my camera is on.
Oh, we can't see you, but we can hear you. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Alrighty. Buju Giwaden Indigenakaz Makwan and Dune Dame. Gazagasqua Jamaicag Ijinakazo Ishgunigan. Baga Adawaning Nandunjaba. Hello, my name's Giwaden. I'm Bear Clan. I'm from the Leech Lake Reservation in northern Minnesota, and I'm from Ball Club. I'm a water protector and youth activist, and I'm also a college student. I'm just very excited and grateful to be here with all of y'all and just to celebrate everything. Miigwech, thank you.
Welcome. You're on mute.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello. Okay, hi, I'm Alistair Bitsoy. I'm one of the featured panelists.
You've been put back on mute again.
Can you hear me
now?
now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So my name is Alistair Bitsoy. I'm one of the featured panelists. Nice to see you, Nasheen. Same community, you're also known as aka Amayaja, and Anti Mayaje, and I'm here just to be like, I don't know, offer some truth and accountability. Just experience to the panel. I'm Tuahane. I'm born for Kinyaani. Klashti is my Che Hashklashni A Dashanale Okote Denen Nishle. Nashtide A Dat Nasha. And I'm just honored to be here. I guess I'm just different hats where I feel like I can be, and just exercising who I am. I also like to grow food. I've been in land conservation work and journalists, and I guess a little bit of photography and just other different things. So nice to be here.
Thank you. Welcome.
I got my camera working.
Well, wonderful. Now I can see everyone's beautiful faces all together. So tonight our theme is Loud and Proud, Priorities and Perspectives from Native LGBTQ plus and Two-Spirit leaders of today. And I'm so happy to have all of you here to share space with us and give us some insights and your lived experiences, as the beautiful people you are. So I'm just going to go ahead and just start asking questions, and we can do, whenever you feel ready to answer the question, you may just go ahead and step in and answer as you please. You may pass if you'd like, if there's a question that you're not sure about or not comfortable talking about, that's okay. You're free to choose what questions you want to answer, and we'll start right in. So, first question: what sparks your interest in your work as an activist, as in social media, filmmaking, whatever it is that you do in your communities?
I can go ahead if that's fine.
Sure.
I think that what first comes to mind is, so I'm Afro-Indigenous, I'm African American and Native American, and I think that a lot of the focus of my work and just my experience in general has been getting people to really challenge what people think Native is, or what they think any one thing is, because we are not a monolith, just like everything, and it's really expanding that colonial gaze or colonial imagination. So I think a lot of my work centers around that, and I try my best to kind of like open the mind in that way.
I can go next. So, yeah, filmmaking is what I'm very, very interested in. As a kid, I grew up watching movies and TV shows and always felt connected to the artistry and hard work that goes into bringing them to life. And as I grew up and became more in tune with my indigeneity and identity and reconnecting to who I am and where I come from, I was very disappointed to see that the entertainment industry lacked in representing people who are like me, people who look like all of us on this call right now. There is a whole perspective on the world and understanding of the world that is being ignored and pushed to the side. So to see shows like, I'm sure all of you've heard, Reservation Dogs, Rutherford Falls, the new Prey film, Killers of the Flower Moon that should be coming out soon. These Indigenous filmmakers, actors, and writers are finally being recognized for their talents and simultaneously bringing a spotlight to our communities and breaking barriers. So my career goal is to make films that inspire and empower us and all the yearning voices that have been silenced for too long.
I can go next. So for me, I wear many hats. I work both as a consultant as well as a graphic artist, as well as a website designer, um, as well as an educator and an advocate. So for me as an artist, growing up on the Nebekea all my life and being surrounded with my language, I'm one of the fortunate few who can speak my language fluently and know my culture and know the stories from my tribe. So that informs my art a lot. That informs the colors I pick in my art, the texture, the lines, the geometry, the themes. That kind of informs my art, as well as being Natlahe, right? I think recently we're starting to see a resurgence in the Navajo people of Natlahe and Delba, right? A lot of people are starting to reclaim those terms and speak them into existence once again, right? Because for a long time that hasn't been the case, right? That was such a derogatory word or a word that had such negative connotations, even amongst our elders. When you speak with your grandma and grandmothers, those words have a different connotation from when they were growing up. And so on my, I guess, advocate or activist and education side, being someone who is not only a trans woman, but two-spirit, Native American, Indigenous, and even a sex worker. I did sex work in the past in trying to bring that conversation into Native circles, because sex work does happen in Native circles, right? It happens on the reservations, whether we want to see it or not, whether we want to call it by that or not, but it does happen. It just gets called by other names. And so I think the main thing that kind of drives me to kind of do the work that I do is I want to make sure that if another little Yue, whether it's on the Navajo Nation or on some other native tribe, I want to make sure that they see themselves, right? Because we hardly see native trans women being successful. We hardly see native trans women who grew up on the rougher sides of the res, right? With a lot of their parents maybe being bootleggers or people who, they didn't have that luxurious life and they had to really struggle even on the res. It's really hard for a lot of us to see ourselves successful because we don't see ourselves. And so kind of being that person who wants to not only give visibility to that, but try to make the next person coming in, their path a little bit less harsh. Because I have also had Native trans women before me pave that path and made it a lot easier for me to get where I am. Kat.
I could go next. I would just say what inspires me to do activism work, people would say, I think, is just my mom. Growing up, she was always of course, an Indigenous woman, always a force to be reckoned with. And just seeing her have a big, strong voice advocating for a lot of things, advocating for my younger siblings and I in a school just off of the reservation where there was a lot of racism and a lot of nasty things and bullying, of course, with me being gay or now two-spirit. Just seeing her not be afraid of going up to these white teachers or white principals and like telling them off. And of course, me as myself, I don't have that kind of voice or that kind of force within me, at least in the real world, like in the physical space. But online, I feel like I'm able to bring that and to really just shed light on the issues that are impacting the lands, our treaty lands here in Minnesota. Like the previous summer, it was Line 3, that tar sands pipeline. And this upcoming summer, this summer now, we're fighting a whole bunch of different beasts, or at least lining up to fight. This OSB factory that's going to be a mile off of the res, 15 minutes from where I am now in Ball Club in Cohasset, where they're going to be taking a whole bunch of wood from our forests. And we're woodland people as well as water people. But yeah, I'd also just say, for a little fun tidbit, if anyone watched Fern Gully and the Last Rainforest, I think it was like this very niche animated film. I don't know when, but it's about this fairy in the rainforest. And like, of course, this white guy plays into the white savior trope, but it's animated. and he like somehow gets shrunk, and they go on to stop this extract that's gonna destroy these fairies' homes. But we grew up watching that, and I think that also plays a little bit into my water protecting or land defending miigwech.
I can go next. So I think I have better service now. I was like, of all days to have odd internet, today's the day. But I'm trekking through it. My inspiration for the work that I do now is just like is it Yui? Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but my little sister on the panel, like it stems from the culture that I was raised in and the values. And I think I was a reporter for the Navajo Times for like 4 years, and I really credit that experience because I think that's where I learned that the Navajo people, my people, the Net people, really grounded me in the whole truths and experiences that they go through, as far as like whether they're fighting against uranium in the Eastern Navajo Agency, or whether it's like oil and gas drilling in Eastern Navajo Agency, or the legacy of uranium all across the Navajo Nation. Um, all of those stories, and then weaving in like just the plight of our people, but also not just the plight, but like the the experiences and the beauty and the ceremony that is embedded in who we are. And then also just really tapping into the clans that make me who I am, and like not just sing them, like really studying them and really learning. Like I'm from the water people, so I like to say I'm from the beach. That's where my people first came. Like we made contact there. Like we're from the water, and so like how do we bring water into the environment to like reduce the impacts of climate change? And then I did a lot of work with Bears Ears National Monument, which was also just designated again. So I did a lot of narrative strategy under that work, and I feel like as I went through all those systems of reclaiming narratives, that's when I realized like, well, where's the queer indigenous narrative in landscape, or like so-called land conservation, or where's it at in media? Like, because I those are kind of like my interests. And so like I battled through that. Like I do that like technically, like basically recently I was with the Salt Lake Tribune. And so a lot of the driving factor that influences me is just the truth that who we are, like who we are today on this panel, and like how do we break down those barriers and those systems that prevent us from being who we truly are, and reclaiming the narratives that we don't exist, or like also going into land conservation work and saying, challenging those Bilagana or white people, like your way is not the way, and then like understanding like the boarding school survivors of our people and like how they are influenced with the Christian religion. And then like how do you tell them, like how do you say that I do not exist when I've existed since time immemorial? So I like the theme of this year's Pride, and I was looking at the quotes of the leaders saying since time immemorial. And so it's true, like we've been, and that's what I'm navigating in my own family, my own truths, and like not disrupting them, but correcting those narratives. And so in some ways, I guess I'm a narrative strategist as well. And so like I try to correct, okay, yes, there's a separation of sexist story, but like what's that's just one theme, like what's beyond that? Like how did we help our people in that like primordial creation? And so that's kind of where I come at things. And it was a learning journey. I didn't like wake up just one day, but it was also a lot of internal healing like that I had to go through. I know Sheen is a counselor, and so I know she deals with like mental health counseling and like just loving myself. And it took a while. Like I recently grew my hair. I feel like that's like an honor of my queer identity, but also the boarding school survivors who had their hair cut off against their own will. And so all of those factors drive my inspiration like today.
Wow, such beautiful and inspiring, brilliant stories that you've all shared so far. It seems like everyone is on their own path to contribute to a larger community, our Native community, and Native communities all around the world. So looking at yourself as that leader leading the path, how has that shaped you, and how have you grown into this role that you are now as a leader of your community?
I guess I can go and get the conversation started. So folks can generate their ideas. I think taking up the label and title of leader, especially among us younger folks, I think we're kind of hesitant. But that's the thing about leadership is no one never really takes it on, right? You just kind of do stuff that is according to your values, and people kind of place that label on you. People kind of find you, people kind of get attracted to your energy, people kind of get attracted to your beauty, basically your hajon, right? However you want to define that, people get attracted to that, and so you end up taking this mantle of leadership. And so that's kind of how I found myself taking on these roles, if you will, was I just kind of saw, like what many of us said, I didn't see myself. Even out here in Los Angeles, I didn't see myself. There was something going on out here in LA, but that went away a couple of years ago. And so me being who I am, I'm like, okay, well, if no one's going to pick this up and keep this going, what our not creator, the person who established this organization, well, let me get it going. Let me keep it going so we can have a space for queer, trans, and two-spirit Native folks. And, to me, I'm just thinking, oh, I'm just keeping this alive. But sooner or later, I started hearing from Native providers, people who had PhDs, asking me questions, asking me, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I speak to the youth in this way who are queer or trans or questioning, how do I do this? And to me, it's like rudimentary, right? Like, oh, you do this, this, and that, because that's going to affirm them, yada, yada, yada. But, the point is that people start noticing you when you start doing this work, when you start being committed. And I will say that taking on the role of leadership, it is tricky sometimes, especially being someone who's relatively young. I am always constantly asking my elders. I'm asking people who are in the same field. I'm even asking the youth, right? Because sometimes it's good to have a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of ears, someone from a different generation who doesn't have the same experiences as you, because, they're going to be next in line, so to speak. So you got to be connected with that. You got to have that intergenerational connection. So yeah, those are kind of the many ways that I feel like how I navigate leadership.
Beautifully said. I think that I like what you said about people gravitating towards your energy, that you're committed to working and living this work, not just having it on your shoulder, but really just a lived experience through the work that you do. And I think that you bring up a good point about leadership, right? What is that as a young person growing into your being, or as your being?
Should I pass it off to someone?
Do I need to pick you?
Do I need a hot potato or hot tamale it to someone? Hot burrito lady it to someone?
I would just like to say that you said it beautifully, and I think I definitely hesitate towards calling myself a leader, or even standing a few inches away from that term, just because, yeah, I don't know. It's just something that I think, like you said, you do it by your actions, and then other people take notice. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's all I have to contribute to this one. But miigwech.
Alistair, are you trying to answer the question?
Oh, my
There
mic.
you go.
Sorry, bad service. So I was saying I think leadership evolves like over time, and I feel like in Diné culture at least, like you're considered an Ani, and I think all of everyone here is on this panel is a leader in some way. So it just depends on how you define what a leader is in your own words. And I feel like recently I've become a leader. Like I'm helping now that I'm healing myself. I feel like I can see where some of my community members need healing as far as like maybe a word of comfort, or maybe they need to go like very in depth about what they're going through. And so like just being a listening ear and some of their hardships and then helping them. And I think that's who we are. As I think we're healers as the net like LGBTQ community members. Like that's who we are. We correct stuff. We help people. We help in different ways, and we heal people. I know like some of our queer relatives are healers themselves. And when I got COVID, I noticed that a lot of the healers that were helping me restore my aura or my energy from that virus, like it was queer healers. It was whether they're in the closet or not, they were the ones who were that feminine being that was coming out, and they were healing me back to order. And so when I went through that process, it's like, wow, we have a lot of LGBTQ relatives who know that old knowledge, and through that old knowledge, like I made contact with this old indigenous food that now I plant. It's because of our system of knowledge and our way of healing that I realized like we're important. We're important to whether we're being up on, harassed, assaulted, like we love our people regardless because we stand true to who we are. And I think like whether you hold a leadership in council or whatever, or a nonprofit, or in the mental health profession, or what like making films, I think you're all readers, you're all correcting the narrative, and that's what needs to happen during this time.
Leaders, healers, all of these amazing words, amazing titles that you all have and embody. It's just really really good to hear. Does anyone else want to share their perspective, or we can move on if you'd like. I need to have some.
Yeah, I think that everything
music
that was mentioned kind of says what's on my mind and how I feel about this. It was beautifully put. So
I just want to echo what everyone said beautifully. Is we don't like to take on, the title of what a leader is. Like that isn't someone's idea. I guess it's like you said earlier, it's what the people around you think about what you're accomplishing and what you're doing. So yeah, that question, realizing your leadership, I guess my input is I sort of experienced that recently. I just graduated this May from the University of New Mexico with a BFA in film and digital arts. And for the last 2 semesters, I had been working on my senior thesis film. And I wrote, produced, and directed it by myself, and it was hard work. And it's crazy to look back on because I struggled with, and I think we all do, we struggle with imposter syndrome and feeling like we aren't good enough at times, or we're not able to do the things we set up, like the goals we set for ourselves. But once, production got started, I had to sort of put a mask of confidence in order to gather my team, and sort of direct them into things because, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was sort of helping other people sort of have trust in what I had to say, even though deep down I was scared. And I kept asking myself, I don't know what I was asking my assistant director. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Am I doing this right? And I was so nervous, but excited at the same time. And once we wrapped, I kept worrying about my impact and my first impressions with the actors and my crew. And once the film, was finished and edited, I hosted a screening recently, and that was the moment where I realized that I had, some sort of leadership role during the whole process, because during the Q&A, my cast and my crew had so much good things to say, and it's I think we need to have more. I'm being a hypocrite right now, but we need to have more pride and be more vocal about our accomplishments rather than trying to shy away from them. But the whole experience helped me understand that I am the only one holding myself back from reaching my highest potential, and I don't take that experience for granted. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, identifying and advocating as a LGBTQ plus two-spirit person has its highs and lows. What are those highs and what are those lows that you've experienced?
I guess I can go. For me, highs are definitely understanding and learning that who I am and how I identify has always been intertwined in our culture. I came out to my family in 2017, right before my senior year in high school. I was very strategic about it because I was like, I need to live my senior year to the fullest. And it was that same year I had learned about, the four genders. And, I'm not exaggerating, but like at the time, it blew my mind because there was a teaching, an oral story that has been passed down that is tangible, that describes exactly how I am and how I walk the earth. And I felt appreciated and valid. I guess the lows, I grew up, in the church, but always felt disconnected with their teachings. It never resonated with me, and I didn't feel love for everything I am. So taking, steps back and decolonizing and leaving the church, in 2017 started my journey of reconnection to our traditional teachings and stories. And that helped open my mind that and made me realize that I am wanted and needed in our communities. And as much as we hear it all the time, but that we are sacred.
Yes, we are sacred. Miigwech for sharing that. Um, I would only really want to focus on the high for this one, but the high of just being accepted, like in your family and stuff, and the understanding that you are sacred. I'm very thankful. This is one of the things that I have said before, and I'll keep saying, even if it does like ring bad in some people's ears, white people's ears mostly, is that I feel very privileged that I did not grow up within Christianity or having to experience anything like that. I recently realized that the first time I ever heard about Jesus was when I was in middle school. And that just like completely blows my mind because everyone that I've interacted with off in the border school, Deer River High School, just has a Christian background and stuff. But one of the things with that and like all of the good that came from that and from that in my family is I grew up being able to wear dresses, being able to play with Barbies and mermaids and dress up as princesses for Halloween. And this was stuff that was celebrated in my family. And I think that's because they held those traditional Anishinaabe beliefs and they understood that even if they didn't know the names, that what I was beautiful and was was the way and is the way that I'm supposed to be, because that's what Gitchimani do, what the great mystery or creator made me to be. And that's one of the highs and one of the things that I cherish, that I was able to experience. Miigwech.
I love the focus on that the positive aspects and how you were able to grow up and embrace that. I think that I kind of want to focus on the positives of my journey as well. But my dad is Christian, and so I kind of grew up Methodist and had that persuasion. And then my mom is Native American, but she, like me, was reconnecting just because it was something that had so much racism where she grew up in Rhode Island. And they're from the island Martha's Vineyard, so it's like all in that like the East Coast pocket. But I think that all while growing up, I would go to church some Sundays with my dad. He wasn't terribly strict about it, but I'd always questioned the teachings from like the Bible and Christianity, and it just didn't make it. Even at like 6 and 7 years old, it didn't make sense to me. And so finally, growing up, and this is post college, talking more with elders and feeling in a space where I was able to ask those questions and be vulnerable, to hear teachings like were mentioned, and to hear like oral traditions about like how Two-Spirit people were sacred and important and special and had special duties in communities. I finally felt like everything I was feeling was valid in a way, and I felt like understood, like like people before me that have come before me were similar and were the same, and it just made me feel just like kind of a sense of peace. And so that's been a recent like realization and coming to, but it has been like a with the help of elders and other tribal members, has been a really beautiful experience.
I can go. So I have a couple of highs that I want to talk about. So one of the highs that I've experienced being Two-Spirit and kind of being in this community with Two-Spirit folks is so I work with a lot of providers, be it therapists, social workers, clinicians, doctors, case managers, what have you. So I work with a lot of providers here in Los Angeles. And one thing that I always, always love is that, you know, occasionally they'll approach me and be like, hey, we advocated for this lump sum of funds for this, for a grant or for something, and we want to include Two-Spirit people. We had Two-Spirit people in mind. We are reaching out to you to ask if you want to take charge or if you want to be a part of this project. And so to me, that's kind of a high, because it's like, wow, people are doing the work out here with us in mind. Vast majority of them are Native providers, right? I have to point out, a lot of them are cis woman Native providers who advocate on our behalf, who want to be inclusive of us, who want to bring us back into the circle, right? So that's one of them. The other thing that I've kind of experienced recently was on the Navajo Nation, like I said, the whole Nadlahe and Dilba stuff is kind of having more like a renaissance, if you will. One of the things that I've started witnessing via online and even just like interactions when I message my friends back home is a lot of people are starting to tell their stories of ancestors that they had or people who recently passed who were trans, who were gay, who were Nadlehe, right? Like back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, those stories are starting to come out because the conversations that all of us right here are having that we're kind of bringing up to the surface, those are starting to come out. One of the most prominent ones that I remember watching was, I don't know if people subscribe to Navajo traditional teachings from, I think it was Wally or Willie Brown on YouTube. And he's a Hatzathi, right? He's a medicine man for the Navajo people. And he was telling the story about how one of his relatives back in the day in the 40s or 50s, they were, different. They were Natlahe. They were AFAB person who were more masculine. And his family, that was just accepted as natural. That was just who they were. They were a special person. You didn't make fun of them. They are part of us, right? That was one of the ones that I've heard that were more prominent, and I just keep hearing more stories about the youth asking their grandparents, hey, what does this term mean? And they tell them about the term, and then they're like, we had someone like that in our family. It's like now it's becoming safer to talk about these things. They no longer exist in records. They no longer exist in Christian or missionary records. Those stories that a lot of our families were ashamed to talk about, they're coming out. We remember, and they're starting to come out. I think one of the bads that I will prominently talk about is probably when I encounter leaders from other tribes, and even like my own Navajo tribal members, and even though they're quote unquote traditional, they always focus on excluding us. I'm gonna repeat that again. They always focus on excluding us. It's like where in Kehuizin or Bishkehuitiniki, like where in that translation does it say no Natlahe, no Dilba, no trans, no gay, no queer? Where does it say that in that translation? In our morning prayers, where in that does it say that? Khare, show me where in that prayer does it say that? What translation says that? It does not say that. It says all of us. All of us. And I have to say that to other tribal members. Where in your drum circle, where in your teachings, where at in your prayers, right? Where at in your prayers is the translation saying no two-spirit, no gay, no trans? Where at in your prayer does it say that? And it kind of infuriates me, right? Because I know that they got that translation from colonization, or they just made up that translation. And it's like, why can't you go with the more inclusive, loving translation that we know it to be? That's kind of one of the downs that I keep running into, especially with providers. It astonishes me that there are people who are in the health field, because I work in public health field. There are people in public health field who don't think everyone deserves fair treatment, or who don't think everyone deserves healing. What are you doing in this field if you don't think that? Like, what is going on? So that's kind of one of the major ones I just want to talk about. So, yeah.
I can go next. Can you guys hear me okay? I like what Yui has to say, just because that's kind of I feel like I do that in ceremonial settings as well, like where you can't say that I didn't exist. Like if you're saying that like our culture says that we don't exist, then by default our culture must be a fallacy as well. And so that's where that like imposter syndrome comes in, and I'm like, how can you? And I dealt with it for years, and of course, my journey was a little bit maybe later. I was 26 when I got my heart broken, and that guy just made me come out, and I was just like devastated. But it was like then I realized that's like who I was. I was in denial for it for years, and that's when I embraced who I was truly, like meaningfully. And I have since been on this path. Now I'm 36 years old, so 10 years of growing pains, a lot of good growing pains. And when I hear the lows, and like the lows, like the other day, I just like, I think Kaiman may have Kaiman may have like alluded to it earlier, and Yui especially saying it's safer. So like the low of the saferness is being safe now is just like it's like now seen as a trend. Like even my own brothers say, "Oh, you're just on the trend," and so like I have to deal with that lateral violence in my own home with my own siblings, my brothers, who are like, "Oh, it's just a trend. You guys are jumping on that. What's QI now? Like, would they added another acronym?" And so like I have to navigate those like knowledge systems, and then like even in the ceremonial setting. So that's why my family grows up in NAC. So they're predominantly NAC. So like I go to the ceremony to support my relatives, but I'm still trying to navigate my role. Like, what's my role there? Am I a singer? Like, what do I do? I know I pray there, but like, what is my role in that setting? And so like I'm trying to like understand and navigate that. And it wasn't because I didn't believe in the system of worship. It was more like, okay, how do I navigate this? How do I navigate the mixture of Diné culture with NAC culture, which complement both each other? And then like how do we correct narratives of like, for instance, I did work in Bears Ears. So like you have these key matrilineal or patriarchal men who like I was asked like recently, like, can you like basically this was my ask, like, can you round up all the Naglehe, the real Naglehe, the one with the real two genitalias, like round them up. We need them to do ceremony. We need them to stabilize the world from this pandemic. And then I was just like really confused by this ask, because I was just like, how do you expect me to round up all these? Like, how do I even, I didn't know how to do it. But it's so interesting that that same person is also anti-gay and running is against the anti like equality marriage legislation going through the Navajo Nation Council. So I was just so confused. I was like, so like you're gonna condone like, or you're gonna allow or have respect for the true Naglehe with two like genitalia, and you're gonna tell me I'm not one of them, or I don't fit in that spectrum according to what you're taught, but you also want me to go find them so we can restore order to the world. And I was just kind of like, it just bothered me. I didn't know what to do with it. I kind of pulled some of my friends and I was just like, how do I do this? Like, is this a legit ask? If it was a legit ask, shouldn't it have happened a long time ago? And so those are things that I go through as a low, I guess, being just part of the queer community. But those are things that I wanted to say. But there's also beautiful things like where, like I said, like, and you've all alluded to already, like we're correcting the narrative.
Can I say something to that, Alistair? Thank you so much for bringing that up. It astonishes me that once we started reclaiming this term Nadlehe, out of the woodwork, all of a sudden the cishet straight people come out and say, no, that's not what that means. No, that's not what that means. It means this. It doesn't mean you. Oh, now you know. Now you have the knowledge. Real Nadlehe. Round us up, she said. That was one thing I noticed too. Thank you for bringing that up, Alistair. It was like, how did you not bring this up when I was a child? Right? All of a sudden you have this knowledge. All of a sudden you know what it means. But when I'm trying to live my life and reclaim it and do good for my people, all of a sudden it's no, that's not you. It's really a tactic of erasure among our own people, right? That lateral violence. Ooh, that gets me so fired.
Yeah, you all bring up some very powerful perspectives and words of wisdom. I think a common theme that I hear from all of you is a part of the positivities is about being a part of the community, being accepted, being valid, having a place of peace and being connected, and then also bringing back those stories that have been a part of our families for generations, and that's coming up to the surface, coming up to light. And the last thing is that I heard from you all is embracing self and embracing yourself as who you are. So such amazing and powerful words that I've heard so far. So with that, what is a message, some words of encouragement, some words of empowerment that you would want to give to Native, Two-Spirit, LGBTQ plus youth that may be listening to you all right now?
So I can start us off. If there is a young youth watching this, one word of wisdom I would like to give is something my grandmother taught me actually. And word choice isn't that good, but they taught me to talk back, right? To defend yourself. If you know something is not right, if you know that there's ill intent, if you know that people are trying to be malicious and hurt you or hurt someone else, speak up. That's what I was taught at a very young age, like 3, 4, 5 o'clock. My mom and auntie didn't call it talking back. They called it defending yourself because they went through the same thing, right? My grandmother went through it with the dorm mates at the boarding school who were trying to basically uphold settler colonialism. My mom encountered that when she got relocated and did child placement in the 70s and 80s, when she got placed in Tustin, California, and had to talk back to her foster parents because they were being so abusive. Literally, my grandmother and my grandma, my mom and my grandmother taught me that. Talk back. Don't let anyone have their way with you. Don't let anyone try to harm you. Protect yourself. And they must have saw that I was going to be unique when I grew up, because why else would they tell me that? I didn't hear them say that to my other siblings, but I remember them telling me that. Talk back. And the other advice I would also give, that they also taught me, is it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry when you're feeling hurt, when you are feeling sad, when you're feeling depressed. Just go ahead and cry. Go ahead and cry. It's okay. It's okay to cry. It's a release. It's a catharsis. You will come back stronger. Don't think it means you're weak. You have to cry to process these emotions. So always stand up for yourself and just remember it's okay to cry.
Yeah, just to echo that also, it's okay to ask for help. I think that's one thing that I struggle with, is when you're going through something, sometimes your family member, from like, I've had the privilege of having a supportive and accepting family who love me unconditionally, but not every family is like that. There are some, youth out there that are in limbo. So my advice would be to ask for help, go to someone, they have resources out there. Another advice is that really resonates with me right now is to, don't let the no's stop you. Let them motivate you. You are always going to have the voice in your head and the voices around you that doubt your abilities, but only you can prevent those from tarnishing your goals at the end of the day. Yeah.
I would just like to, like you said, echo all of that, and also just slap on, know that you're sacred, and you're going to be hearing that a lot. But just know that you're sacred, and that, that in that sacredness, you don't have to, you don't have to, and you shouldn't subscribe to all of these institutions or these beliefs or these ways that things are supposed to be done, because the way that I was told growing up is that when you're different and you do not fit in this world, you get to forge your own path, and you get to make your own decisions and do what you want to do in a respectful and safe and sacred way. And I see myself doing that, and kind of not even doing anything that is or should be called like brave or anything, but just doing stuff that is like traditional gender roles or things like that. Like, what even is that? There's a whole bunch of nuance and conversation that can be had about that. But like even within traditional Ojibwe beliefs, I find myself stepping out of certain boundaries. Like in my Ojibwe class, my Ojibwe language class, Ojibwe Moen, our instructor had his wife come out and teach us all in the class how to jingle dress dance, and told us the stories, and brought her dress in and stuff. And that felt really right for me. Jingle dress dancing, or dancing jingle. And I grew up dancing grass dance, and that was something that I never got into because it never felt right. I would go out there and I would just do the two-step around the ring. Never do any kind of fancy moves, never felt comfortable. But when we were out there and we were dancing and we were doing all of the fun stuff, I remember that I lit up with joy. And I'm making myself a jingle dress now, and I'm getting help from elders and from friends, and I've got a beautiful design, and it might be a few years before I do that debut of dancing at a powwow, and it'll be at my own powwow, my own community powwow here in Ball Club, Miigwech Minoman Days, Thank You Wild Rice Days. And at some point in my life, I'm 20 now, so I have hopefully many, many, many years to build up the courage and to do that. Yeah, just wanted to say that. Miigwech.
I want to kind of circle going back to something that Keeman said, or going off of that, and that is really reiterating that rejection is protection and redirection. I think that something that I could really ruminate on and get caught up on when I was younger, and even now, are different rejections and things that really felt like roadblocks and like the end of the world. But then I had a moment the other day, actually, in the face of a career rejection that was pretty hard and kind of put me in a hermit space. But I was sitting there and reflecting and realizing all of the rejections or perceived rejections that were happening when I was younger, whether they be romantic, career-wise, and family. If those didn't happen, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm so grateful that those different things interjected and came in. So if something feels like it's just a huge block and it's heavy and it's hard to carry on, know that it's just pushing you to go elsewhere, and it's going to take you places that you may not have even thought that you could push yourself to. And so that's what I would say. I think that's been very helpful to me, and I've kind of learned it through watching my elders persevere and like carry on through all of the obstacles they've been given.
Yeah, for all of your encouraging words to the youth that are watching. You heard this. Take what you can and you use it. These are the encouraging words that that your relatives here are sharing with you. So as we come towards the end, oh, here's Alistair. You can share.
My last word. Yeah, I can do a spiel on youth encouragement. I would say stand in your truth, like whatever it is, obviously. But if your power is taken, reclaim it back. Get your power back. And by doing that, it's like listening to your intuition. I mean, my power was taken away, and I feel like that's where I'm at now, where I'm reclaiming it and getting it back. And I don't know, like Hera just mentioned, like we go through different things, and like listen to your I say your stomach, your gut feeling. That's always a good indicator, because it's your conscious and unconscious leading you, your spirit. And I feel like that's where I feel like you have to listen to that more. Or that's been helping me. I mean, it may not help everyone else, but like I like to meditate too. So do your breathing to reduce some of your anxiety. And if you have any anxiety, but I do like those breathing techniques to help me try to meditate and figure out a challenge that may get in my way. And those are my thoughts. And just be who you are. I think right now these trailblazers here on this panel are allowing it to be safer for you all to be truly who you are and be visible. So thank you.
Again, a hiya for all of these words of empowerment that our youth are listening to, and finding your joy, knowing that you're sacred, and being who you are. So as we go towards the end of this session of Loud and Proud, I just want to go around really quickly to share your favorite song, your favorite hype music that you go to, that your go-to song.
Can I go first? It's not not Stranger Things, but Running Up That Hill. I'm sure you guys have been all hearing that on TikTok and stuff, by Kate Bush. The first time I ever heard that song was watching Pose, and it was a scene. That's my favorite song.
I think I'll go next. Kind of is reflecting what's happening on Navajo, but About Damn Time by Lizzo. That's my anthem right now.
So for me, mine is any type of Japanese city pop song that lately has been my zhuzh lately, getting me up and getting me pretty and getting me dolled up, is Japanese city pop music.
I feel like it's so hard to think of one specific one on the spot. I love all, but I really, really love jazz, and I'll play a collection of different jazz artists, James Brandon Lewis, Derek Hodge, different people, depending on the day.
Will motivate me, like wake me up and perk me up, and just depends on the day. But I think what I don't know, like I got to think about this. It's hard to narrow down my song, but my younger siblings are showing me their bangers, so sometimes I listen to them and they like they pump me up, and I'm like, oh, that's a banger. It is true. So it depends on our genre of music of the day or how I feel.
Well, thank you so much again, Ahiahat, for joining us tonight, and all of the viewers who have joined us. And I'll bring it back to Alray. And thank you again, Ahiahat.
Saga, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Katapatash, thank you.
Miigwech, thank you.
So everyone that's watching live, again, if you're there at home with all the viewers we're getting tonight on YouTube, on Facebook, virtually, let's all have a round of applause for this amazing panel of Indigenous LGBTQ leaders. Thank you all for joining us on behalf of Dinner Pride. And thank you so much to Auntie Mayaja. Please follow her at Forward Light on TikTok. In addition to that, my sister, of course, Nasheen, thank you for being an amazing moderator. Thank you, Yui. Say hello to everyone out in Los Angeles for us, and as well to you, Alistair, out in Nash Chitty. Sending love to you all, okay? And now we're going to transition towards our closing, everyone. Thank you all. So I'd like to say thank you again to my sister, Nasheen, for being an amazing moderator for tonight's panel for Loud and Proud. Shout out to our program director, the amazing and fabulous Josie Rafaelito out of New York, that helped coordinate this, along with our Dene Pride youth director, the fabulous Geronimo Louis. Now we are going to end this evening with an amazing video from an Indigenous drag performer. She's also our Natani honoree this year. We're going to play a video for you. This is me from Sister Navajo from Phoenix. Please stand by, everyone. You all have a good night.
not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. I'm gonna send the blood, I'm gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me.